All right, I'm here with Sean Delaney, the co-director at the fantastic Street Monkeys Parkour Academy here in Preston. We're here for the Parkour UK L1 course, and I thought while we're here, let's rack his brain for some interesting business tips, bits of information, how you got started, and how other people looking to start a parkour gym might be able to get themselves going, or anything we can think of to help them. All right, so can you briefly introduce your background and how the hell you ended up in parkour?
So the story of me being involved in parkour is slightly random. So I was doing youth work for the Army Cadet Force at the time, so I had an interest in youth work. But my main job was working at Tesco as a manager, duty manager. And then I saw an article from our local paper calling the boys antisocial. So the team members that were originally in the Street Monkeys, there was a picture of one of them doing a backflip off a 6-foot wall. These lads are antisocial. And I was like, actually, it's not. I don't believe that's the case. I had a friend who had a graffiti artwork business at the time. I said to him, why don't we get him some hoodies with your brand on, their brand on, just sponsor them, it helps you grow. And it's just randomly grown from there. Like, it's just grown year by year by year to where we've got our own academy now.
Yeah, so you got involved with the Street Monkeys before you had the gym?
Yes.
Okay.
Before, yeah.
And so what was the process like of starting up, getting the space, and like actually kicking off this awesome business?
Yeah. So I think as we have this discussion, we'll like talk about more about what we're doing now. But originally, and the reasons why we're doing what we're doing now, but originally nobody would give us any money. Yeah. We couldn't do. Banks weren't interested, investors weren't interested, nobody was interested. The reason we've got this is down to COVID. So when COVID came along, we took the bounce back loan, which gave us the ability to do this. So without that, we wouldn't have this. Yeah. And what's since happened is we've sort of proof of concept that this now works. So it was tough, and we know it's tough, and that's why we want to do more across the UK in the community to help people who we know what it's like. It wasn't that long ago that literally banks like, no, I'm not interested, no, I'm not interested.
So it's about getting that first step, that first loan, and then from there, the ball got rolling. And now you do run a really fantastic business. And before we go into what makes it so great, I just want to ask, what was the most single, maybe a small thing, difficult thing in that initial stage?
What, before we got the building?
Before we got the building, or as you're setting it up, or what is one spanner that got thrown in the works? Because it must have been really tricky.
It's always been tricky, but we've managed to get, so the key point where it changed for us was when Sean and Bam, so Bam's my co-director and Sean who's our head coach, they ended up working for Marvel and Disney in Paris on the live stunt shows. That really gave us some credibility. Okay. And that was the story behind that is we saw an article, an advertisement saying, we've got auditions, we'd missed the closing day. I was phoning the agent 3 or 4 times. Wow. No, can't do it. And I pestered him enough that he went, just bring them down to the audition. And it turns out that it worked and they got through. But having that, being able to say that's who we've worked with has been, so it's getting those jobs in the first place. And we still do, we do a lot of work now, and some of our younger coaches do that work for free. And we explain to them, all these boys to get to this point have had to do that. So it's making people understand that what's needed to get to that point. You can't, no one's going to just pay you 30 grand for a job. Yeah. If you don't have the credibility behind it.
You've got to slowly legitimize yourself bit by bit. And then if you can get those opportunities, aggressively fight for them, as you did.
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Okay, brilliant. Definitely. So the main thing I want to discuss here, because this is a fantastic gym, but it's fantastic, I believe, for reasons that in parkour we often don't think of. Now I'm going to start with a great example. Before this little interview chat, Sean insisted on ironing his hoodie, and when the coaches come in, if their clothes are creased, mine's probably creased, you know what I mean? They have to iron them before they get into the parkour class. Like, this is so many levels beyond, I think, what a lot of gyms would consider. And I'm not saying it's an essential, but it shows the incredible attention to detail you guys are practicing here. And so can you tell us a bit about that, about the branding, about what a parent or a student experiences when they walk in the building?
So ultimately, as stupid as this sounds, I have no interest in being out there and doing parkour. You probably know that looking at me, but I don't do parkour. I've never done parkour. And I think that balance works. And to me, it's down to two things: standards and branding. 100% the two most important things that we do. So we want all of our boys, all of our coaches, all of our staff, even down to our admin. We have an accounts admin, we have marketing. They don't really get seen. We have a guy that does our maintenance. They all wear branding. They all wear uniform. Because to me, I want people to walk through that door with either the postman, whether you're coming to do some work, whether you're a parent, whether you're a kid. You walk through that door and go, these guys know exactly what they're doing. And it's that impression that it's a collation of a load of things, but you've got to walk through that door and immediately go, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And we've been here for 3 days now for the course. And even now, every day I'm noticing something new. I might notice the lovely artwork on the walls. Or yesterday I noticed that you've got this lovely stained glass in the little cafe downstairs. And then, of course, you've got the cafe as well. You've got different spaces for people to chill. Do you want to tell us a bit about, particularly the cafe, maybe as a separate source of income and making it a nice space for the parents? What has that done to diversify the business?
So when we first started, I was the only one that drove. So I was driving the boys all over the place to the gyms that were there. And you'd pay £4 for a cup of coffee in a plastic cup that was awful. And we'd always said, that's not going to happen in our building. So as you know, you walk in this building and you come into the cafe, and it's almost like a Costa. There's a proper coffee machine, steam coffee. We do fresh pizzas. We make fresh pizza dough every morning. That attention to detail is important. Yeah. And we make those pizzas and they sell really well. We do wraps, fresh wraps. But it's, things like the coffee machine, it's not just about the coffee, it's about the theatre of creating that theatre of making a coffee. And it's a massive income for us, that, and it keeps us going. But I said, we're not having people sat in the cold. This room we're sat in now is an addition because we have a downstairs cafe space. We have the outside mezzanine just out there. And we didn't have anywhere upstairs that parents could sit and be warm. And if parents can be warm and they can be comfortable and they can get free Wi-Fi and they can watch what's on the telly, they're happy. We have a lot of parents that come and sit and say, do you know what, this is my hour. Our sessions are 1 hour and 15, but people go, this is my hour. This is my hour just to chill, because they're that engaged out there. The parents can just come and get on with some work, whatever it is they want to do.
And it's a nice place to chill. It's somewhere they actually enjoy coming, not just to wait, but to spend time. Also, I was wondering, how has the community developed around the gym, like parents getting to know each other and stuff like that? Because you have this nice social space, have you seen that grow? Or?
So we have probably 2 or 3 groups of parents that go on nights out or play sports together, or the kids end up doing stuff outside of it. And we have our birthday parties of the weekend now. Currently our birthday parties are only open to members, but what you find is that they're inviting not just the friends from school, they're inviting the friends from the sessions as well. Wow. So the community has grown, and that's massively important. Yeah. And ultimately, and I think this has been a bit of a stigma word in the parkour communities, having parents that are comfortable, they will spend more money. And ultimately, we had this discussion yesterday that we found that people in parkour, it's not about the money, and it isn't just about the money, but if we don't make money and we don't make profit, this isn't going to be here. So the community dies in this area because we can't afford to pay our rent or pay our heating or whatever. So it is important that if you're looking at opening a gym, you've got to have that profitability in mind. Even if you're doing it as a not-for-profit, it's the worst word. A not-for-profit organisation shouldn't be called that, because even they have to make profit. Because if they don't, they can't pay the bills. So, and we've really found that is changing in the last couple of years, but it's really a stigma in the parkour world. Is, what do you mean you make money from it? Well, we've got to, because we pay all of our coaches. We don't have any that volunteer. So everybody even our junior coaches, everybody gets paid, because it's important to me that is the case. Everyone, I want them to be paid for something that they're enjoying, so they can stay and keep doing it and go out and train during the day and come and work in an evening. And
I feel very strongly about this, that a rising tide raises all boats, and I've seen what you guys particularly been trying to do, not just grow this, but help other businesses. And we need to grow the sport. You need to make money. You need to have more people involved, and that lifts us all together. We don't need to hide away from this idea of making money. It's actually, when done right, a way to support and grow the sport, 100%.
But also, we do our best to look after the coaches. You know, Paul, you met the junior coach. He passed his test. He bought a car. It was a mess. We paid for him to have his car valeted.
Brilliant.
Coaches, if they're going away and they need a new pair of trainers or they want the competition ticket paying for, we'll do our best, because most of the time when you do something like that for someone, that person comes in 10 times more, you know, engaged and willing to, you know, engage the kids. You know, there's so much keen just to do more when you look after it.
Yeah, and I think those are really key business principles, like treat people well, they'll treat you well, everything grows together, you know what I mean? Not hiding away from that, having your own separate little thing, you know, where you try to cut costs at every particular interval.
People aren't stupid now. People, you know, and they aren't, and they get it, and you know, and this is what I just keep saying to them. Some of the things they don't like, some think, oh, why do we have to do that? Well, because if, you know, what do you mean I've got to go and iron my top? Well, from my point of view, if you can't iron your top, how are you going to focus on the little details when you're out there looking after people's children? You know, ultimately, that's what it's about for me. Like, it's the small details.
It's the small details, and I think they add up. And for me, it comes down to the impression. You know, you walk in here, everything's together. You've got the nice, clean cafe space. All the obstacles are well taken care of. They're solid. They're all painted. You got the design. And if one thing was out of order, if you went to the toilet and it was a mess, that's all you're going to remember. But when all your ducks are in a row and you do really take the time to pay attention to detail, that, I think, is when you create this impression that this is a professional, solid place. And that, it's hard to measure. So businesses might not be able to measure that, the word of mouth, this and that, but that is, I think, why you guys have been so successful. And you have a waiting list, right? The gym's full, you know? And so on that, what are the future plans, perhaps? Where are you looking to grow?
So we want to grow. We've got two other options that we're working on. One of them is further ahead than the other, so another gym in the UK. But we don't want to become this sort of controlling force. What we always were worried about when we were first starting, just doing leisure centres a little bit, was, what if someone comes into our area and opens a gym? I'd be annoyed. We'd have been annoyed. And what we don't want to do is come into some area. So what we want to do is work with the community out there. So if someone's got an idea and wants to do a gym, or even at a lower level, if someone's got a group of friends that are doing it and they want to go, we want to start coaching, and we want to make some money from it and make a living from it, we'll have a conversation. Because if it means we need to put a little bit of money to get some equipment into an area, we can start working with those people and developing and help. Our operational model here is solid. It's constantly developing. And we had this conversation last night. This kind of youth sport, after school sports thing is not consumer friendly. And we want to change that. So, you know, you go to martial arts, you go to gymnastics clubs, you don't walk in and get the cafe that we've got here. So we're about changing that, and our operational model is ready to go and sit in other gyms. And we want to do that with the community. We don't just want to go, thank you very much, see you later, we're in this area. We want to work with them.
That is brilliant. And don't just listen to this and then turn it off. Like, if you are interested in starting a gym, if you have your own little business, at least, you know, drop an email, have a conversation. I'm sure that if at the very least you could give some advice, if not, potentially open to working together. Like, that's the thing I'm so excited about, is not only your success here, but the fact that you want us all to succeed and you want to grow the sport and the businesses. So to finish, maybe what's one top tip for anyone looking to start a gym or business that they might not think of?
It's the two. It comes back to those two things: standards and branding. 100%. It's so important. You know, all our coaches wear the right uniform, from shorts to joggers to t-shirts to hoodies. It's all well done. You know, clean, tidy. We went for some food last night. We had this discussion, and it blew people's mind when I told people that we repaint this place on a 6 month.
Every 6 months they repaint.
Just because it's standards. It's standards, because you know, certainly the cafe in this area, people hit chairs up against the wall, and if you don't keep on top of it, it starts to look scruffy, and it just makes it harder in 2 years' time to do it. If you do it every 6 months, it's just quicker. So standard, the two, I know you asked for one tip, but two, standards and branding 100%. Is so important.
No, I think it is. And the things people won't think of, but the way I see it is they're all little subconscious triggers. You know what I mean? The temperature in somewhere, all these little things, you know, the quality of the coffee machine, this and that, not having scratched up walls, they add up and you think, wow, this place knows what's going on. And the one final observation is that I think that you're as passionate about the business stuff as the other Sean is about the parkour, and that's key. And potentially for anyone looking to start a parkour business, if you maybe work with someone who's entirely focused on these standards, branding the business side, could be helpful. Anyway.
And it is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Like I was, like I said, I was a retail manager before.
Yeah.
So learning, it's not easy. I'm in every day, 7 days a week, pretty much. But having that flexibility of nipping out for lunch when I want and different things, but it's not easy. It's hard. You've got to put the work in. And if you don't, it's not going to work. You've got to be with people you trust and put the work in.
100%, mate. Thank you so much for that, Sean. I hope people get something from it. And if you are interested, get in contact. Street Mikes can help you out, I reckon. Cheers. Appreciate that, man. Lovely, lovely stuff.